Hi, this is Phil Bendy from Braid Knot Solutions. Today I'm going to talk to you about the double down loop knot. I'll take you through a slide at a time, describing each step as I go. I will be using a coloured braid shoelace for this demonstration, but on my blog you will be able to see this knot being formed with fine braid. This is a versatile loop knot that works well across all line types and in particular with fine braid. It is called double down because it is formed using a doubled line and produces two loops, the main loop and a secondary loop, which may be used for paternoster links or trimmed after cinching. In this slide I am picturing the knot tied on 11 pounds breaking strain fine braid and 20 pounds breaking strain clear mono. I have left the secondary loops in place for your inspection. As anglers, there are times when we might wish our fishing attachment to sit within the loop we are tying. So I thought I would quickly show you how to do this with the double down loop knot. The scissors will be my attachment for the purposes of this exercise. Form a loop in your line sufficient to tie the knot. Take the head of the loop back over itself to form two small loops, one controlled by the main line, the other by the tag end. This is the default starting point for this knot. However, we will reach this position slightly differently when we wish to include a fishing attachment. Make a loop in the main line as shown. With mono and fluoro, you will need to allow a longer tag length than shown, and longer still with fine braid, at least 10 inches. Thread the end through the eye of the attachment and back under itself to sit next to the main line. Place your forefinger through the top of the main line loop and bring it up through the underside of the tag loop holding the attachment to form the cow hitch shown. This cow hitch is the key difference that makes the double down loop knot superior to the tuna loop knot, which is itself a very fine knot. Right, let's go. Form a loop in your line. With fine braid, you want to allow at least 10 inches for the main line side and 10 inches for the tag end side. With practice, you will know how much line to allow for the line type you are using. The important thing is to allow sufficient line to get the job done. There are two main ways to form the cow hitch around your finger, the thumb and forefinger method being shown here, or the folding the loop back over itself indicated above. Insert thumb and forefinger of one hand inside the loop and gently tension the main line and the tag end held by your other hand. Now, move your thumb and forefinger apart to form a triangle, with each digit extended beyond the outside of the line it is controlling. Bring your thumb and forefinger back together again so that each has its own loop as shown. Pinch thumb and forefinger together through their respective loops. If you need more room, pull back the line that bridges both loops with the fingers of your other hand and hold. Bring your forefinger in the cow hitch up through the loop previously occupied by your thumb, so that both loops are wrapped around it as shown. Pull on the main line and tag line to tighten the hitch. With practice, and perhaps thicker lines, you may not need to pull back the bridging line, but achieve this step in one natural, free-flowing movement. Pass the tag end through the cow hitch, bringing it out the other side. Make sure you pull enough through to grip with your hand and to tie the cow hitch lock knot with later. Note how this single step creates the wrapping loop, which eventually will become the secondary loop referred to previously. This slide shows the tag end making a 360-degree turn around the cow hitch, exiting on the other side as before. I have annotated the lines for differentiation. This extra turn is very necessary when using fine braid, but can possibly be dispensed with on very heavy mono or fluoro lines where flexibility is an issue. Having made the extra turn or not, You will now wish to bring everything together ready for wrapping. Still keeping your finger through the cow hitch, take hold of the main line and tag line with your other hand. Pull in opposite directions whilst holding the wrapping loop between thumb and forefinger of the hand controlling the cow hitch. Everything should become splendidly taut. Even at this stage, you can make your loops smaller. First moisten the lines, then, loosely holding the wrapping loop, pull down with the finger in the cow hitch and pull up with the main line and tag line. Neaten it all up by pulling on the wrapping loop. Commence wrapping the loop around the main line and single tag line. I stop every 3 turns to bunch the wraps together using my thumbnail. For fine braid, I apply between 18 and 20 outward wraps and less for mono and fluoro. Once you have applied your desired amount of wraps, they should be neatly arranged as shown. Counter wrap about 3 to 4 times to bring the tag loop back down towards the main knot. As with the tuner knot, tucking and wrapping the tag loop around the base of the cow hitch is another means of tuning the knot. For fine braid, I recommend 3 tucks with a minimum of 1 for other lines. Look closely and you can just see the tag loop disappearing inside the cow hitch. In case you are wondering, the knot in the foreground was simply to tell me which is the main line. Take the tag loop around for a second turn and a third if necessary. Here you are seeing the main line loop, the smaller of the loops shown, being cinched by pulling on the main line off camera. This leaves the bigger tag loop unaffected and ready to take on its role of main loop, with the wrapping loop likewise taking on its role of secondary loop. To keep the main loop at its current size, take hold of the secondary loop with the finger of one hand and pull in the opposite direction on the main and tag lines. This serves to take away some of the internal slack, such that when you come to cinch the main loop, it won't stretch that much, if at all. If you wanted a bigger main loop, simply start cinching this loop first. Repeat as before, but this time holding the main line around your finger. In the case of braid, I prefer to use something solid like the hook of my scales to avoid cutting myself. As you cinch, don't be afraid to push together the body of the knot as much as possible. The secondary loop may end up longer or shorter than the main loop, depending on how much it stretches and how long it was to start with. I am a firm believer in the efficacy of the cow hitch lock knot. It is easy to apply and excellent at absorbing surplus energy from the main knot. Believe it or not, you can form a loop from cow hitches alone, such that on fine braid, upwards of 50 reversed hitches will give you a loop every bit as strong as a Bimini Twist, which itself requires a similar number of wraps to work properly. So slippery is this material. Although a cow hitch comprises 2 reversed hitches, I prefer to count by the hitch. Since I also need to keep track of whether I am on an over hitch or an under hitch, I adopt the following mnemonic. Over is 1, under is 2, over is 3, under is 4, and so on, where odd numbers will always be over and even numbers, which complete the cow hitch, will always be under. When you become distracted, and you will, all you have to recall is the number you are on. From that, you will know whether to make the next hitch an over or an under. I find it helpful to have the main line slightly tensioned if I am forming a standing loop on the end of the line, or I will place the line spool between my knees if making hook lengths. In this slide, I am taking the tag end over the main line before bringing it back under the main line towards me to form the first half of a cow hitch, the over is 1 part. Then gently lock it into place. I would moisten the main line first so that each hitch slides into place smoothly. With heavier lines, it can be difficult to lock the half hitch in place, especially if your tag line is too short to grip properly with your hand. On these occasions, I grip the end of the tag with my teeth, snap my head once to the right, then to the left, repeat if not properly seated. As depicted, this is the under is to part, where the tag is taken under the main line and brought back towards you, completing the first cow hitch. Over is free will start the second cow hitch, although this is inconsequential as you will be keeping a running total of the hitches you are laying down. For fine braid, I aim to lay down between 25 and 30 half hitches, and less on mono and fluoro because they have so much more grip available to them. I will concede that with thicker, heavier lines of whatever material, this next step is not so critical because of the increase of the line's diameter. With light lines, however, I like to test the main loop via my digital scales to a little over 80% of the line's strength. This helps to exercise most of the latent stretch within the knot and allows the knot to settle with all its tag ends in place. If the cow hitch lock knot has stretched a little, use your thumbnail to push it back in place. It won't be weakened as it is designed to do this. Trim one or both tag ends as desired. If the line being tested is on a line spool, no problem. If your line is coming direct from your reel, wrap it multiple times around something round and solid so that the line grips when you pull on the scales. In this way, it won't bite into your reel spool at the other end. Now you can fish confident that your loop will be good for your benchmark poundage and a lot more besides. On my 11 pounds fine braid, 9 pounds is my benchmark. Once I had reset the cow hitch, I gave it another pull, just to see, and it was still going strong after 10 pounds. Given that I have pulled this knot to over 11 pounds breaking strain on more than one occasion, you can see why you should value this knot for what it is. As strong as a Bimini, as easy as a Rapala, a true high-performance loop knot. Tight lines.